Hello and welcome to Sprint or Swim, a passionate podcast all about technology and technology leadership. This is part 2 of the conversation with Michael Ruplitsch. If you haven't already, be sure to check out part 1 for more content. Thanks for listening. And now, part 2. Back to leadership again, I guess. What great leaders. We've all had good managers, bad managers. We've all had experiences in all walks of life, whether it be family members, whether it be coaches. What great leaders have you personally experienced? You don't have to mention the specific names, but what made them leaders in your eyes? Do you remember having any, idols a strong word, but do you remember ever thinking, right, he's doing it, she's doing it right, I need to take some of that on board?
To answer that, I would like to maybe even reiterate what I said earlier in terms of what makes a great leader from my point of view, and it's largely values and
consistency. You said,
and living by example, and yeah. So and probably creating an environment in which people can actually be successful and show their best. I mean, that's a big question. I mean, I'm not sure if there's an odd example, but I would probably name my father, because he's just a great father figure, and very intelligent, very kind, very supportive of all the nonsense I wanted to do in my life, if you know what I mean.
I understand.
So,
I 100% understand.
So talking about values and talking about getting the opportunity to show your best and to try things out, that was great. In terms of professional leadership, I worked with great people in a couple of companies, and specifically I had one or two people I worked for at Accenture.
Yeah.
Very senior partner people. I was in the German-speaking area. I was in telecommunication high tech.
Was that quite early on in your career, Michael?
That was fairly early on. After university, I always had like summer jobs and all that. But after I finished my studies, I basically had one job in Austria for like 3 years, and then I worked for Accenture for 9 years. So it was a long period of time. I can't speak for the whole company. Accenture today has like 200, I don't know how many thousand people, right? It's huge. But at the time it was smaller, but I can specifically talk about the group I was in, which was telecommunication high tech in a German-speaking market. And we had some great partners. They were working like crazy, really focused, really dedicated, but they all had family. They all wanted to take their vacations, and they were okay if you had to work on a weekend, but it was better if you didn't.
Yeah.
Because everybody wanted to have a certain work-life balance, right? Nobody cared during the week, because typically you were not at home anyways. You were like somewhere
out on assignment somewhere.
Yeah, somewhere in a hotel. So who cares what you do between Monday morning and Friday afternoon?
Yeah.
But everybody wanted to get home on a Friday afternoon to spend quality time with family. And I really liked that. I liked the values. We were always making fun about like how the values of the company were like almost shown and mentioned in each training and everything.
Yeah.
But looking back, it was actually great, because values are important, right? So,
and they're often just given lip service, by the way. I've seen many companies where it's just blurted out, but the actual culture isn't there.
I can't name them all anymore, but there were a couple like stewardship and building best people and leaving the company a better place. When you go leaving the company a better place than you found it when you come. There was just great ideas and great concepts, and you can apply that, and you should probably apply that in every place where you work. So yeah, I had a couple of great people. And just to finish with one example, I really liked the one statement from one of the senior partners at Accenture at the time, when he said that he sees his role in making his people successful, because then he's automatically successful. He doesn't do anything else. He doesn't have to do anything else.
That's leadership 101. Yeah, that's leadership 101.
But yeah, they're just concise and compact. I like the statement.
What's one business book that you've learned from so much or were so evangelical about that you would buy a copy to give somebody else that you wanted to help?
The thing is, I'm not really too fond of too many business books. I mean, I'm reading them every now and again. I really enjoyed The $1 Billion Coach. That was actually last year or was it earlier this year when I read it?
Yeah. I'm not familiar with it.
Eric Schmidt, Google.
Okay.
He wrote about a coach who apparently coached. extremely many people in Silicon Valley, and again about the values and the leadership style. I found that very, very interesting, and that's probably the most recent one which stays in my mind. But honestly, I'm not a great reader of management literature. I think I was really lucky in my life in terms of having had exposure to very senior people, C-level people from very young on.
Yeah.
And I think I honestly believe I learned so much more from people in real life than I could ever learn from a book in that space.
Absolutely.
Don't get me wrong, I love reading, right? But I'm more into reading novels and fiction in my spare time than management books.
Oh, that's more than fair. What's the best advice you've ever received in the workplace?
Again, a challenging question because you get so much advice.
Don't we all?
Most of it unsolicited.
Absolutely right.
And I mean, to pick out the gem out of all the things you hear in your life. I mean, probably a statement I gave before in terms of like make your people successful, create a great place to work.
That stuck with you. That resonated with you, yeah.
That's probably one of the things I quote most because I find that very inspiring, and I try to tell whenever I give a training or when I have to motivate people, or we're currently undergoing a reorganization, right? We have to because everything's changing at the moment. So I'm telling people I want them all to take ownership, to be authentic, to be able to make mistakes, and to feel safe in
safety, emotional safety at work is a big thing.
Yes, absolutely, and again, this probably summarizes I want to make my people successful, right? And then I can probably go home at 4 o'clock and enjoy an after work drink or something, right?
Yeah.
Because then everybody, if everything is smoothly working, then I'm just holding things together.
Yeah, that's a great answer. That's a great answer. Mentorship. I've recently started mentoring a couple of local graduate trainees from technology, and it's quite interesting. Long ago was I starting out, and I've had to dig deep into my thoughts about what advice would I have given. Have you ever had a mentor?
Yeah.
Was that quite early on? Did you seek that mentor out? Did you fall into it? How did that come about?
Again, the example is with Accenture. Accenture acknowledged very early, at the time when it was still Anderson Consulting, actually. And I started when it was still Anderson Consulting for a year, a little more, 1.5 years.
Yeah.
No, sorry, 2 years, 2 years actually. And they very early identified that the only real asset they have is actually people, right? I mean,
everyone says that, yeah.
No, but for a consulting company, it's probably true. Right?
They don't have the fixed assets. Yeah,
the offices were leased, the laptops were leased, the company cars were leased. The only real asset, and even that wasn't tangible, was probably like methodologies and documentation.
Internal
IP. Yeah, intellectual property, right? So, but other than that, it was just the people. And if you have crappy people in consulting, you will be out of business very soon, especially when you're large. And the credo, the mantra was, we want to work with all the Fortune 500, or basically in each market with all the big companies.
Yeah.
And we can't lose a single of them because we are too big, right? I mean, who else would work with us if we don't work with the large entities in a country? So the dogma was we need to make our clients happy so they stay with us in the long run. And you can only make them happy by delivering good quality, and you only do that by people because it's people business at the end of the day. So why I'm saying that is Accenture invested a lot in like trainings and building up the people, obviously selecting people, obviously also in terms of like more hire and fire and like up or out principle.
Performance management, talent acquisition.
Strong performance management. So on the lower end, people had to leave if you couldn't get promoted because you reached your potential, you had to go. It changed over time. Nowadays you have landing positions, so from a certain level on, you can stay on that level for a long time.
Yeah.
When I was there, it was literally either you get promoted or you don't. You go. Right. That's what it is. So you had a certain time frame of a couple of years, and either you made it or you didn't.
Yeah.
So
That's almost like a sports analogy when you're like playing basketball, baseball, or rugby, and you've got that certain period of time where.
But the thing is, that wasn't necessarily in a bad way, right? I mean, they basically told you, look, we don't believe you can make partner, you can make whatever senior manager. You have time, search for something, you want to go somewhere, we want to talk to a client, let's do that, right? So it wasn't in a bad way.
Oh, okay. That's a different lens on it now. I get that.
It was not like you got the latter one.
Yeah. It wasn't a time bomb ticking down.
It was a very managed process. Again, I can't speak for the whole world. I can speak for German entities, or German-speaking entities of. So we also had a very, very clear focus on people in terms of training, but also in terms of mentoring and coaching of people. And so everybody was assigned, actually two people, a counselor, a career counselor, typically somebody who is higher, like 2 levels higher in the organization, and can give you advice, especially if you have a difficult time with your boss or your project or something like that. And you also had a mentor in terms of to more give you some coaching advice. That person typically wouldn't be that far advanced, so that the idea was that that there would be more of the person would remember better how it was to be in your shoes and could basically give you advice on how to deal with day-to-day situations more than anything like that. And I think they did a great job. And the logic was that once you reached a certain level, you'd been with the company for like 2-3 years, you probably would take over mentoring roles and eventually counseling roles for people also.
Perfect. And have you seen that in other companies? Have you seen strong mentorship programs? Is that something you advocate when you're in like your new role? Are you seeing that? Obviously, now isn't a top priority, but
not yet in the current role. But yes, at Austrian Airlines, I looked into that, and as you mentioned, that was in the HR role. So I was trying to establish something. Probably was a little less structured than Accenture did it. I mean, but we tried to come up with something there.
What 3 things are CIOs focusing on right now during this pandemic?
Well, right sizing of IT, because many companies will not be in the same shape or form as before. I mean, obviously, I'm strongly talking about travel industry and hospitality industry, but we are looking at a situation where most likely we're lucky if we're back to 60 to 70% of the numbers of 2019 in 12 months. And that means if you reduce like IT cost by 30%, you just right-sized it to where you were before as a percentage of the company cost. And since IT typically doesn't scale, it doesn't matter how many aircrafts you move and how many people you employ, IT cost is IT cost. That's quite an exercise. So in my industry, in our industry, probably right-sizing is a huge topic. And then there's obviously the market is going to consolidate. A lot of capacity is going to go away, but still there will be quite a competition around yield and cost. So from my point of view, driving yield and customer experience and binding customers in the time where we don't fly, so that they don't forget us.
Keep that loyalty.
The loyalty is a huge topic at this point. And I mean, you said it earlier. I mean, like working from home. I've been always an advocate of that. Like as a consultant, I was traveling all the time. Remote work was kind of the norm. So I experienced that in the 90s when it was really, we had ISDN cards and all that kind of stuff for your computer, and like connectivity was
I
really
remember
bad.
that. I remember that.
Oh yeah, I'm sure you do. But it was really a challenge at the time. Nowadays, I think we need to overcome the paradigm that you need to see your direct reports sitting close to you to believe that they actually do work. I think we should allow people more freedom in choosing where they want to work from, with all the difficulties that brings. I in my HR role, like years ago, I already had the discussion with the unions, and they have good reasons why they are not so fond of that. And all the challenges it brings for the company. But from management perspective, we all know our good people and we all know our not so good people.
Yeah.
So I think we can manage that, and we should manage that.
And that'll be something for here to stay. I think that's across all industries.
Look, all industries. We found out for 3 months or more than 3 months, we noticed that we can work from home. It does work, and we always had the debate whether somebody can work from home on a Friday, right? So, or here in the region on a Thursday, right?
Yeah.
So why not be more open to that and just accept that we made it work for such a long time and take the best out of it? And there's good in it for the employees and for the company. The company may need less office space because you may go to a desk sharing model. The employee doesn't need to drive and saves time and money for fuel and all that to go to the office. It's a tremendous amount of money some people spend. When you live 50 kilometers away, 200 days a year, that's 20,000 kilometers. You can do the maths what that costs you, right? So remote working has benefits, and many people say they are more productive at home. Many people say they're more productive in the office.
Yeah,
I would
but have a choice.
Have a choice, right? So just be a little more open than we were before.
Yeah, it's interesting in two ways there, because I think you're expanding the geographical pool of talent. As you say, people don't have to commute necessarily, but you're also targeting people with disabilities, people
Yes.
that've got a lot of children, people
Yes.
that aren't necessarily
Yes.
looking to go in the workplace. Now there's that spot. So there's huge pros, I think.
There's also the whole discussion about like equal opportunity in that case for the different for the gender, right? Women do statistically take care of the kids more than men do. That's
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's good or anything. I'm saying that's what it is.
Statistically,
Right?
that's what it is. Yeah.
That's what it is, right? So for whatever reason, and that we can probably have a separate podcast on nature versus nurture. And
We
and
look
all
forward to
stuff.
that.
But statistically, that's what happens at the moment.
Yeah.
So, and on the other hand, I honestly believe that we as a society cannot afford to lose the wits, the smartness, the intelligence, the abilities of like 50% of the population
No.
only to a certain percentage.
Be crazy.
So if we are able to allow our employees, and specifically in that case our female employees, to combine like private life and children with their work life in a better way, why wouldn't we do that? I think it's stupid not to do that.
Yeah, I think that's the way we're all going to be heading.
Yeah, I sure hope so.
Yeah. Coming up to the last few questions now, Michael. I think this will be the last one, actually. Obviously, we're in the travel industry, and that has its own challenges right now, but it'll also have a lot of opportunities going forward. Technology as a career, technology as a subject to get invested in. Are you very positive around technology? I think you are. And what advice would you give a graduate or someone leaving school about heading into the realm that we're in?
I have two children, two sons, and they're 20 and 23, and they accidentally they both do computer science at university, right? And I didn't push them in that direction. What I tell everybody, what I told my children, what I tell everybody who would ask me that question is, you should study something which you want to work with for the rest of your life. Everybody can probably, if you can motivate yourself to do the 3 years to bachelor, 5 years to a master's degree. But the next 40 years are going to be terribly long if you don't like what you're doing. So I will not recommend to go into technology to anybody who doesn't have the heart in it, right?
Yeah,
so,
the passion.
But if you have the passion, if you like it, it's just amazing, because when you look back, when I was little, we had like phones with dials, right? And we had
Connected in one place in the house.
One place in the house, actually shared with the neighboring apartment. So if we were making a call, they couldn't make one, and vice versa, right? Yeah. You had to go to phone booth. My kids laugh when they hear that. They basically like, you're from the Stone Age, right? So you have to go to a phone booth when you want to make a call, because nobody.
A private call away from your family. Yeah.
No. But when you like, it's cool or something. You had no mobile phone, right? You had to find a phone booth, and you had to have coins to make a call, right? Yeah. Or car technology in terms of safety, comfort, everything, right? Yeah. So technology is amazing. I find it amazing what's possible. We put a man on the moon, right? We haven't done it for 50 years, but maybe we do that again. What can be achieved with technology for health, for the well-being of people, for quality of living, it's tremendous. There are tons of downsides. I know there are like nuclear weapons. There are the climate change, global warming is an effect of technology to a certain extent, or to strong extent.
But technology could also be a savior there. Technology is always a tool, isn't it? For good or it's a hammer. You can use it for evil. You can use it to build.
You can hit somebody over the head with the hammer.
You can use it to build, or you can use it to destroy.
Exactly. Yeah. So and therefore, I think it's technology has great opportunities, and if the right people go into that space and make it available in a good way, in a positive way, we can make a difference, and we can create a world where I think the UN expectation is that the world population will peak at around 11 billion in like 50 years or 60 or whatever it is. I can't remember the exact numbers. I remember the 11 billion. So there's a corridor, right? It's between like, I can't remember, 8 and 12 or 14, something like that. So, but 11 billion is a likely scenario. There are scenarios where this is sustainable with the right technology for growing food, growing ecological food, with the right quantities of food, stopping global warming, having a high quality of living for all those 11 billion people. I think we can create a great future with technology. We just need to bring the right people and the right minds into that space.
Ah, fantastic. Thank you, Michael. That's a great way to end this podcast. Thanks so much for your time. Some awesome insights there. Wish you all the very best, and I'm looking forward to doing this again sometime.
Anthony, thank you so much. It was a great opportunity and great pleasure.
Cheers.
Cheers.